What's going on, people? Welcome back to the live reaction. Palace won, Man United to defeat at Old Trafford after a very slow start to the game, giving away a penalty. Managed to concede the second one, and then red card happened. We scored the first goal, and then the second goal just looked a bit difficult. But there's lots of talking points as always. If you do enjoy the show, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. Also, leave your comments in the comment section down below. And if you're watching it live, leave it in the live section. And the lines are open right now, so you guys can join via audio or video to have your say as well. But we'll be reading out comments throughout the show. Joined by AJ today. AJ, frustrating. That's the word that it keeps popping in my head. Frustrating afternoon. Due to how we started the game. I mean, conceding that penalty in the first 7 minutes, I feel like messed up a lot of our plans, especially with the lineup that we had. And then there was lack of creativity in the first half. There wasn't chemistry between our attacking line. I mean, the midfield wasn't as bad. In the second half, of course, we could see that goal, another goal that was avoidable. We managed to get back into the game due to a United mistake by Casemiro, which was 100% a red card. I don't know what he's thinking. Then again, when they made them substitutions, did I think that was going to score the second goal? No, not really, because they had all the defensive players out there. I think it's just annoying. It's just annoying how the game started and how it ended. I get it, we got back into the game, but I never felt like we was going to score the second, especially after they made them subs.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, annoying is the word. Like that's the word of the day on this one. Yeah, man. I mean, to be fair, it felt like we were playing against 12 at one point. I mean, fuck, even Andre Mariner was playing defensive midfield for Man United at one point. I see him clearing the ball and all sorts.
By Bruno Fernandes as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. Yeah, I mean, I felt the penalty was a bit soft. It is what it is. Second goal was just really poor, which was frustrating because I felt like the guys had it patterned until that point, to be fair. I think the thing that really what annoyed me with the second goal is you're supposed to be marking your guy. And then I see Gay turn around to everyone else putting his arms up going like, yeah, what you doing? I'm like, big man, you're the captain. Like, that's your man. You know you lost him. Between the two of the centre-backs, obviously, either one took the blame there. But, bro, you're professional footballers, bro. You need to know where your guy is. Guys in Sunday League now to do that. So you need to sort that out. I mean, the referee was killing us today. I think the only common sense that came with the ref was when he finally sent off Casemiro, because anything less than a red, I mean, he already booked him anyway, but anything less than a red card would have been wild, because as soon as I saw him go over the monitor, I even said to my partner, like, look, you know what? That's a red card. I was going mad. Like, man's all out here choke slamming guys, WWE style.
That's most definitely a red card. But I didn't see it. I didn't see it as well until the VAR decision. But then again, I don't want to talk about the ref as much because I don't think the ref was out. I think it's more on us than the referee. I mean, he gave that red card, but the referee, Man United fans could have the argument that the referee was against them. I feel like it was on us. I mean, let's start off with the starting lineup. What do you make of the starting lineup? There was a few people.
It was inevitable. It was an inevitable starting. It was an inevitable starting lineup. Everyone predicted that all week, bro. Like we knew what was going to happen with. I mean, everyone talks about the Schlupp Ayew thing, bro. My man ain't changing it anytime soon. Or when he does change it, we need a fit starting 11 essentially, and we've still got what? I mean, if you want to talk about long term, you got Fergie, you got MacArthur out, right? Then you want to talk about sort of more short term or recent, you got Anderson, you got Zaha out. Then you got the two new players that will take time to be integrated into the squad. So actually, when you put it on paper, he's not going to change anything mad. Like, and I would say, argument's sake, exciting youth players, they seem to be out on loan doing their job. So it was kind of like inevitable that he would have picked that squad, and everyone kind of predicted it, to be fair. Even when I saw the starting lineup at that point, because I only just got back before kickoff, it was, even when I saw it, I just looked at him and thought, yeah, that's probably the best 11 the man's going to put together, to be fair. Although I'm not putting on Vieira, you know, not yet, not for today's game. I won't put on Vieira. It's kind of like we didn't really turn up until they got the red card, and then it's like all of a sudden that kind of kick started us, and it's like obviously we could hear our fans wherever you were watching, whether you were there or anything. Obviously, I feel like we took over Old Trafford in terms of noise, but it's like we didn't really show up until what, good 5-10 minutes after Casemiro got told up, because that just because Man United got that red card, they didn't switch off. They kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and it was Elise realistically creating the chances and constantly whipping in the box. Like, where was that first half? Where was that beginning of the second half? Because if Casemiro finishes that game, we're not really jumping up and getting up at that performance. It's like we had to wait for that to happen to sort of turn around and make that creation happen. So it's just long, man. It's just annoying. It's another annoying evening, man. I don't even know what to say, man. I mean, it's going to take us a few weeks and maybe, I would say, easier opponents to maybe see how things start going and maybe getting a couple key players back into that team. Lokonga looked good coming on. He looked pretty solid for what I saw. But obviously, time will tell. It's early doors. Hamada, I didn't really see anything of him coming on. I felt like he didn't really have enough time on the pitch. He didn't really do much. Mateta, for me, bro, between him and Edward, bro, you gotta get sharper in front of goal, man. And I know, obviously, you love Eddie, but I'm not seeing it, man. I'm starting to lose faith.
I'll be honest. I'm starting to lose faith as well. But I think that's with a lot of the. There's a lot of plays that.
There was a lot of plays.
It's good enough. I just don't think that's good enough at this level. I mean, if we're talking about today, with the starting lineup, I'll be honest, I wasn't even that frustrated, because the reality is, as much as I wanted Lokonga to probably start, he was not going to start. Schlupp played out wide. Schlupp didn't have a bad game. Edward was up front. Ayew was there for defensive reasons. I mean, we saw it. Lokonga, I guess, wasn't bad when he came on, and Hamada didn't really do much, but they weren't going to start. I think what ruined us is not the starting lineup, because the starting lineup was a defensive starting lineup, in my personal opinion. It was to try to keep that clean sheet. What ruined it was that Will Hughes decision. You might say you might say the referee got it wrong, but I think the referee got 100% right. Like, what is Will Hughes doing, putting his hand up here? Like, why? Like, what's the reason? I don't care how close or far it is. They have changed the rules. It's not a case of just, as soon as it hits your hand, it's a handball. It was a penalty. Let me know what you guys think in the chat as well. But I think it was a penalty. You can't put your hands up that high. There's no explanation for that. So that's probably what ruined our game in the first 7 minutes, in my personal opinion. And then our plan A went out the window. And without that, let's just say this, in the first half, how many chances did Man United create? They didn't create that many. They didn't. So we could have kept them at bay. We could have went into the second half 0-0, frustrate them, or have some openings like that. But that penalty ruined it. It did. It did, in my personal opinion. It did. It was poor.
Yeah, man. We look lackluster, man. That essentially was it, man. We just look kind of lazy, and then it's still this one team, one Palace version in one half, and then another version of Palace in the second half. Like, and I don't know if there's going to be some kind of coaching changes, and obviously that's another kind of section to talk about altogether, because obviously we know there's been a bit of stuff coming out recently about why Derry left the club, and that was quite surprising out of nowhere, to be fair. I haven't really thought about it. I know there's rumours of obviously man like Bergkamp and all them lot showing up, but then even then that needs time to integrate as well, so we don't know what's going to go on with that. In fact, my man's on the comment there, we show Man United too much respect. It's like we turned up to Old Trafford and we're like, we didn't want to go there and win. It's like we kind of took the 2 goals and it was like, oh crap, you know what, guys, we're behind now. Oh no, they got a red card. Now we got a chance. Why are we not taking on these teams quick? Look what Wolves did to Liverpool today. Look what happened with Chelsea and Fulham. We need to be on it.
Do you think that's the case? Because I don't. I mean, the lineup wasn't maybe strong enough going forward, but in the first half, Man United, there were chances in behind. It's not like we had nothing. There were chances in behind. But when you come to our front three of Schlupp, Edward, and Ayew, there was no chemistry. And for me, at halftime, it's more down to the individuals more than us not wanting it. Like we did, it wasn't that first half. The service and the creativity was absolutely dreadful. I think that was our fault rather than us not wanting to win. I mean, that was considering that was a plan A, that we wasn't even trying to probably score with that lineup. Of course, we're planning to score, but that lineup, that plan A initially was defensively. But after we conceded that goal, there were a few chances, but not good enough. I mean,
but that's it. That's it.
100% improved, and he got more involved. But there was key moments where, for me, it was like Elise through the middle. I'm not too sure. I've said it. He's a wide player. But there were just moments of just the pass and decision making is so poor, and it goes to Edward as well. And I back Edward a lot, but it goes to Edward. The one thing that hurts me the most about his game is decision making. His decision making is not good enough. Whether it's to make the pass, whether it's to make the shot, he just seems like majority of the times he just gets it wrong, and that's more of an IQ play rather than a form play for me. Like he can score goals. He can score goals when it's in the right perfect opportunity, but sometimes you have to make the right decisions yourselves. And when I'm looking at his play, there's times where he could make that pass. I think it was in the second half as well. Make the pass back post, but then he takes a shot. When it's time to take the shot, he'll make the pass. Like it seemed like he constantly makes the wrong decisions, and that goes down to the individuals. I don't think it was a case of we didn't want to attack. We weren't good enough. That's it.
But there's two things. There's two things about that one as well. But there's two things I got on that one, D. The first one is the Edward and even Mateta is it's fact. They're not clinical enough. That is why we are probably looking for another striker or another attacker, because in front of goal, the reason why Wilf is the top goal scorer on our team is when he does have those opportunities, he's clinical. He bangs that in the top left corner. He hits it on target. And for me, the differential is I don't think Mateta's good enough. So if you give him 13 crosses in the boxes, he's banging in 1, maybe 2, like that. He needs 1,000 opportunities before he gets that one goal, and that shows in his return of the opportunities that he gets creative. He runs at the defender. If we could just get some kind of merge of the two, but that's never going to happen, because with Edward, it's got to be ball to feet, like he's on this Henry thing. Like he never follows through on the passes. He never shows in front of goal, and you're bang on. He passes in the wrong times. He shoots at the wrong times. I don't think I ever see him take a shot anything less than within that 5-yard box. It's just not him. He's just on this pass, turn a man, try to skip through 4 or 5 players, and then try banging the top bins. Big man, this is not the SPL. Like, you've been in the Premier League for a year now, bro. You know what these defenders are on. Like, when you are playing the most out of form teams in the league, even if you're playing at Everton, big man, Talgosti's not letting you run to that 5-yard line and skip past 80 man. This ain't no whatever McNeil and whatever O'Brien up in Scotland, rude boy. This is the Premier League. This is the elite level. This is or if not one of, the most challenges leagues in the world. You can't be doing this pretty ball to foot pen in France business, bro. That certain man won't have that. In fact, a lot of man won't have that. Even if you play a dead team, bro, listen, centre backs are not on that BS. So up front, we are not clinical enough. And just going back to my previous point about the creativity, right? And talking about the chances, bro. This is the differential between the poorer teams and where we're at, right? When poorer teams take on big clubs and they get those little silly chances, they maximize and they utilize and make the most of them. Next thing you know, they're 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 up. That's what's worked for Brighton, Wolves, Brentford, all these teams that are doing well, because those 1 or 2 little chances, opportunities, you blink, is 1 or 2-0 up. They're not coming back into the game. The only time I've seen Palace do that this season was against Man City, and then Man City found a different gear, and then they turned us over when they bring on Haaland. That is a very unique circumstance. If we were doing that against these bigger teams and were more clinical in front of goal, which is not, it's not even a case of not creating the opportunities, and we're not even doing the ugly stuff up front. We're not even taking those dead shots off target. Most Palace games I've gone to, it takes us a good 15 minutes before we get a shot on target. Like, and I'm starting to see a pattern here, and that's no matter who we play up front. Because with Mateta, he's just going to run at defenders. He won't get the ball and try to turn the man and then try to take a little sneaky shot or like a little crazy shot and just build up some chances and opportunities. And with Edward, he has to skip past 100 man before or the ball has to come to feet in the 5-yard box before he does something. And I'm starting to see this pattern. That's why we need a striker who's on it. That's why I would have, barring the injury record, I would have took a Danny Ings, or I would have went for a Semenyo, but we can't talk about that because obviously that's gone now. We've got to work with what we've got. But it's long, man. It's frustrating because, bro, you sit at Selhurst, man. You know what it's like, man. We don't really, it's getting frustrating. It's getting long. Like, and going into the summer, man, are we going to have another 4 months of this? Or are we just eventually going to flip?
That's maybe if Lukonga and Hamada, maybe if they play more often, there might be difference there. But for me, I said it before. I said it, like, regardless of these signings, our season is done. Our season is done. We're not in FA Cup. We're not in the League Cup. These signings are probably not going to push us onto the top 10 because as much as we talk about these signings, yes, we signed midfield, but we still need a right back. We still probably need a better forward. We need depth in other positions. There's still so many question marks and what ifs. But look, if you guys want to join and have your say, click on the pinned comment. You can join via audio or video to have your say on the game and whatever thing that you want to talk about regarding Palace. But yeah, look, it was a very frustrating evening because I guess we weren't expecting United to have a very good record at home. I understand that. But it's just when you look at ourselves, I mean, forget about United. They weren't that great today. Even in the second half, they weren't great. Even before the red card, they weren't. And then when we did try getting behind, it was on us. The players are I don't think they're just good enough. And when you take away Will from that team, I mean, you got Elise there on the pitch. Well, let's talk about Elise because some people are getting onto him saying he didn't have a great game. So for you, what was it about his game? Is it, some people are saying it's predictable with his moves.
Elise's a hard
good enough.
I do love Elise, but he didn't really get going until the second half. Same as the rest of the squad, to be fair. He's got a killer left foot on him. We know that, and he obviously created a chance. Well, he created a few chances. The thing is, he's got no right foot on him. Clearly, I don't know if that's something he needs to work on. Obviously, when you get to an elite level and you're that good on one foot, that's a different kind of conversation. He started the game poorly, that's for sure, and he's definitely not number 10. He's too weak for it. He was causing them a lot of problems in the second half, and he was just constantly threatening, whipping that ball in the box as much as he could. But I feel like he needs a bit more confidence to his game to be that guy and to be this one that's, especially if he's serious about, because obviously I don't know what we're going to get at least within the next 5 or however years, if we even have him that long. But if he's going to transition onto helping us push on, or if he moves on to a bigger club, he's going to need to add something to his game, because it's like, and this was it's quite interesting because I flashed back to when he first signed and then everyone was getting a bit frustrated because Vieira was slowly integrating him into the team. And as he was slowly integrating into his team, his confidence was growing and he was getting more better at taking on players. And he was getting more across in the box. He's doing more set pieces. But it's like he's kind of gone into that shell again for a couple games. And he needs to be that guy, because what I said on the pre-show for the United game is now that Will's out the team and potentially could be off in the summer, he could be that guy. He could easily be that guy for us. He's already holding the number 7 shirt. We know he's got skill. We know he's got class. He's got that mentality. So, if you want to be that guy, it's very hard to read Elise because, a lot of people talk about his mannerisms. I don't care. What I'm thinking about is I'm reading your game on the pitch. And what I'm getting at your pitch is lack of consistency. We know you are a threat on that left foot. That is for sure. But you're not always a constant threat. I didn't really see you turn it on to like the last 20 minutes of the game. And at that point, he's giving Luke Shaw something to worry about. And he's giving the centre-back something to worry about. But how long did it take to see that? Like, that's where Vieira or the coaching team or whoever's around him needs to get onto man and say, listen, you could be that guy. And you could be that constant and creative, but you need to show up and be a little bit more braver. Take the tackles early in the game. Get a couple cards in on the other side. Like, he's not built for the number 10 role. I'm sorry, he just isn't. And for me, I think long term,
that position.
That's Eze's position.
He plays that position.
Or potentially there's an opportunity there for Amada to potentially go there. We don't know that. It just depends on how things build. And yes, we are. Where we have to be a bit more realistic is we are still within our building process, and it's going to be frustrating at times because we're never going to be an overnight success. The recruitment of the football club seems to still be on that same wavelength and on that same level, but there are going to be times where they frustrate us. So when you are that player where you are making those opportunities and you are breaking out and you are making that step up into the first team, you have to make that opportunity, because come summer or potentially next season or over the next couple of seasons, there will be other wingers that will come into the club. There will be these young players like Abue and Raksaki and whoever potentially making that step up. And if it goes on to plan for them, at least they may go and digress. You don't know.
It's just I just can't get over the frustration. I just can't. It just the way we started that game, it just annoyed me so much from Hughes. It just annoyed me, and I don't know why. I still can't get over it. I still can't get over it. Normally, when I talk about things and I let it out, it's fine. But it's just so like it's incredibly silly from a player that should know more, man. It's incredibly silly, and it just ruined it. Just ruined it, and then now going into that Brighton game, it just adds that pressure. And based on what I saw today in terms of creativity, I didn't see anything. And Brighton are not a bad side as well.
Brighton won again, you know. Brighton are out here,
they
man.
won again. They managed to pull out the
enough.
result again. So I'm just
enough.
more worried about that based on what we saw today. And in honesty, let's be honest. If Casemiro didn't get a red card, which there's a question here, forced on Casemiro's red card, which it was 100% a red card, and I think if you're a Man United fan, you'd have to admit that as well, because there's no ifs and buts. It was a red card. It was silly from him. But if Casemiro didn't get a red card, would we have scored? Would we have pressured them like that? Because it was more looking like
Casemiro
than us.
Casemiro is a world-class centre midfielder, and he's a world-class centre defensive midfielder, bro. The guy he's levels. Like you can't, you have to admit it, bro. But if anything, I think that's probably how we probably got into that game, because I tell you what, I bet you Casemiro would have been on schluck come that goal that we pulled back, to be fair. And the red card kind of was a bit of indirect justice for us, to be fair, because I tell you what, man, before that I weren't happy. But yeah, bro, you can't be putting your hands on man like that. Like, listen, the tackles and the little silly pushes are one thing, and the odd little elbows and whatever. But because, like I said, man, I didn't even see the red card. It's only when I was watching it, and I turned, and then it was only when they were like, "Oh no, there's a potential red card." I'm like, "What?" And then they showed the replay. As soon as I saw it the first time, I knew because he was already booked at that point. And I don't know why he's run X amount of yards. I get it's his boy, the Brazil thing. If it was my brethren, obviously I'd do the same, innit? But like, it was quite weird.
He's won the Champions League multiple times as well, so he shouldn't have done that. He knows better. He's out for 3 games now. He's out for 3 games. He missed. So in total, Casemiro's faced us twice. So Casemiro's faced us twice, and the 2 games he's faced us is led to him missing 4 games.
Bro,
1 the yellow cards against in the first game against Wilf, which got him that yellow card suspension. So he missed the Arsenal game, and now he misses the next 3 games. It was silly from him, but look, there's comments, and I agree with it to a certain extent. Patrick says deserved the draw. At least it was good. So too, Jeff. Indeed, the whole team improved second half. Hamada looked good, but that's paper over cracks for me. I'm sorry, that's paper over cracks. And the reason why I'm saying that is we're talking about deserve the draw. But did we really deserve a draw because of that red card, or?
But then were Man United that much better than us that they deserve to beat us? That's how I would look at it. Then
in the second half, they were clinical. Well, they created that. But then in the first half, they got that penalty.
Ironically, that's the difference between Man United and us. They've got players like Rashford and Casemiro and these kind of players. I know obviously Casemiro got sent off, but they've got clinical players. They've got world-class clinical players. If you gave Rashford those same opportunities that our strikers had up front, he's banging a hat-trick. Like, let's be honest.
I know, but just deserving a draw, I'm 50-50 about it. I'm not too sure if we 100% deserve the draw.
I mean, it's Man United, man. Like, I wasn't expecting anything outrageous, like, but I thought even after that red card, we just kept pressing him and pressing him. Oh, bloody hell, David De Gea, man, the hair, sorry. Bro, that guy can save a shot on him, I tell you, man. He turned into world-class Buffon or Donnarumma or something, to be fair. He was having none of it today. It's just headache. Like, you're right.
I'll be honest, I'm worried. I'm worried about the next game. Based on what I saw today. If we take away the red card and what we've done, I mean, they're a very good side, don't get me wrong, but just the patterns of play. With certain individuals. That's what worried me. When we did get behind, like we would against Brighton, that's if Brighton let us get behind.
Well, put it this way, right? Check it, right? So you're worried about the Brighton game. I'm not even going to get cute about it, so am I. But at the same time, when our players do come back, which obviously we're looking at least 3 weeks, so God knows it could be a tense couple of weeks ahead in terms of the Palace fan base and whatever. Because at that point, bear in mind, we would have had the new players integrate into the team, and we would have had a few players come back from injury, i.e. the Anderson and Will. Obviously, when they come back, we don't know what kind of version of them we're going to get, to be fair, because obviously hamstrings and knee injuries ain't no joke, man. You never come back the same player traditionally. Do you think? I'm not biting onto relegation. It's just not happening. I am convinced there are 3 worse teams than us. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm not getting sucked into that. Never say never, but I'm not getting sucked into that. But what are you saying? When we got the team back on point and everyone integrates, are we looking better? I'd agree that.
We're talking about league table. We're talking about league table. We're going to be. I don't think we're pushing on anywhere. We're going to be in this position. That's why it's boring.
I feel like we're stuck at 12. I feel like we're going to be probably 12th for the rest of the season.
Exactly. Maybe 13th,
wild.
maybe 11th. So maybe you might go up to 10th, but it's done. Like, it is done. This season has been done. And yeah, we will get better because of course you got Wilf, you got Anderson, but I just don't know. I just don't know. But let's talk about Vieira because Erica says trying so hard to give Vieira the benefit of the doubt. This football is no better than Hodgson. What we're trying to do. I remember when Vieira changed the style of play. Imagine that.
Come on, bro. This ain't Hodgson ball. Don't do that, bro. Like it's frustrating, but no, don't. Come on, bro.
No, but a lot of people are frustrated with Vieira. What's your stance on it? Personally, for me, I don't think this game is on Vieira because there's other options you could have went with. So instead of playing Schlupp, you could have played Eze, which Eze is out of form. And Hamada realistically wasn't an option in that position. So going forward, we just genuinely don't have other players. We got Raksaki out.
I think people are just looking. I think in this scenario, people are just looking at anything to be angry at. Like, I'm not biting onto this Vieira out thing. Like, Vieira is my manager, at least for the foreseeable. Don't get it twisted. Like, man could start doing a bag of madness. And there have been decisions in the past where I think he has had that kind of mad favoritism. But then I've looked at him for, well, favoritism versus availability. Like, are you going to put some 17-year-old kid that you think looks good on the under-23 highlights over an experienced Premier League winger in Schlupp or a winner in an IU? Like, it looks good on paper. It looks good on Football Manager and when you're doing it on FIFA, but this ain't that. This is real life, bro. And now he's got a couple more options in that squad. And when he has a fully fit squad and a fully fit team, bro, I think we're cooking different. I think we have to look at the building blocks element at the same way as with the manager element because we're not stupid, bro. Vieira's not a Jose Mourinho or a Carlo Ancelotti or even there's even a debate to say he's not even got that kind of same experience as a lot of the Premier League managers, to be fair, because the Premier League can attract that kind of availability. As a player, different conversation. As a player, obviously he's done it all, he's won it all, cool. But I feel like his presence and his influence is growing on the club. And I feel that even the way that the players deal and address him, and even with the way they've taken him seriously with recent changes in the backroom staff, I'm invested in Vieira. He will frustrate me at times, but he's nowhere near that Roy Hodgson category, bro. Let's not be silly now. Let's not be that person.
1 win in 10 games. I understand that. But we're on here literally every week talking about we need a new right back, we need a better forward. And we're here literally right now talking about we need better players in certain positions. So for me, if you want to sack a manager when we know that this squad isn't complete and we know when we did have the right players last season and how good this squad can play, I don't understand it. I really don't. Sack Vieira, bring in you. I mean, sack Vieira.
That's my follow-up then. So in comments, right, everyone's talking about sack Vieira, get rid of Vieira. Who are you replacing him with? Lampard? Gerrard? I heard they're available. Big man. If them men are sitting at that, nah. Like, who's available?
I mean, we started the process. And for me, all right, Vieira has made mistakes, but we've had this conversation so many times this season. Yes, Vieira has made mistakes. You can make the argument maybe who should have played earlier on in the season. Jeffrey shouldn't have trusted Jeffrey Schlupp as much. You can have that. You can have the argument. But when you take it on the basis and when you look at what we've done this season, we didn't strengthen enough in the summer. And you can argue we brought in a midfielder or two, but we still didn't fill up the positions in January window. This whole season, we've needed positions, and we need positions. We need a right back. You can argue based on last season. Well, as I was saying, Nathaniel Klein in the long run, Joe Ward, as good as they are, they're not good enough to bring us on to the next level. So we still have to strengthen. So until we strengthen and get the players that suits Vieira's system and get players that's better than this, how can I blame Vieira? What? Get rid of Vieira, bring in another manager, have one good season. Oh, and that manager goes through the same problems. We haven't got players. Change it about. Do you want to be the next Everton? So is that what we want to be? That's how I see it.
Get the man the players he wants.
Changing managers all the time and changing philosophy. We've got an idea. This season is a write-off. But it's a write-off for many different reasons. It's not just on Vieira. I mean, in this game alone, we could talk about maybe the subs. For me, Lukonga came on. That was good. The only sub that I didn't really understand is Jeffrey Schlupp because I thought he's actually having a solid game. I don't know why he took him off. I would have took off Edward and put Mateta there if you're going to bring on Mateta. But like, there's only so much you can do. Like, people want Eze to start. I get it, and they go blame Vieira. But then when Eze does start and when he doesn't have a great game, like he didn't have against Newcastle in a previous game. I remember he was trying to put balls in behind to Wilf, but he just wasn't clicking in the first half. Then people are going to complain about that as well. Like, there's only so much you can do when we don't have a fully fit squad. Like, put your frustrations more on the board if I was you than Vieira, because we haven't signed the players. And look at some
give
of the
man these players and let him cook.
Look, I've said this so many times. We've got the likes of Nathaniel Klein, and I've said that he doesn't now. I don't think he even starts for majority of championship clubs. That's the harsh reality of it. He doesn't start for championship club pushing up. If you go watch the championship, and if you look at some of the championship players that we've even brought in, there's quality players in the championship. Edward, Mateta, they're not clinical enough up front. I mean, Jeffrey Schlupp, he had a good game today, but is Jeffrey Schlupp a left midfielder? No. So when you look at Will Hughes, we can do better than that. We brought in Hamada, of course, we're going to see. There's so many question marks about even the starting 11 today in terms of the squad quality. But then again, what's the alternative? All right, Jeffrey Schlupp doesn't start. What, Eze starts, who's out of form? All right, who plays up front then? Edward, Mateta should play up front? What difference is that going to make? We need more quality. We made some very good signings, but we've also haven't completed the process. The process isn't complete. This season, I felt like we took a step back. We took a step back in terms of not actually buying enough players, because in the summer, as good as Decore was, that wasn't enough. Richards, good signing, that still wasn't enough. We still need a right back centre mid. January window, we did buy a centre mid, got 2 centre mids, 1 permanent, 1 loan, but we still haven't solved the right back problem. We still need a clinical striker. We still need probably more depth on the left wing, even when Wilf is fit. We've seen it. We don't have a left winger. We're stacked on the right hand side, but not a left. A backup left back. Like, there's still so many positions that we haven't strengthened in. And for me, that goes down to our lack of spending. But then I'm expecting something big in the summer. I am. I think we're set up for a big summer. But, you know, we can talk about Vieira as much as we want. But then again, like, I don't know who comes. Why start it all again when we know the squad ain't built right? When we still know that we've got players from Roy Hodgson days that we haven't moved on from. You know, if we moved on from these players, if we did bring in players, then fine. Let's talk about Vieira. Yeah, we backed him to the full extent, and he has improved. But we've seen positives of Vieira and seen negatives. But let's just see. Let's just see how it is when we do fully back him. And if it's in the summer, then let's see how we do next season. And if we don't do well, then you can ask questions. But for now, you can make the argument, what's our philosophy right now? I'm not too sure. Because we're not pressing as we used to. I don't know what we're really trying to do going in attack. But we just had to take a step back. We're just stuck in the middle. Literally just stuck in the middle. We don't know what we're doing right now. Until we bring in the players, I think we're going to be stuck in this level. And that's why we're 12th. That's why we're basically middle of the table as well. Near enough 10th and not in relegation, because we're just there and abouts. We're just one of them teams that won't get relegated, won't push for top 10 this season or top 8, whatever you want to say. But that's how I see it anyways. Let me read some more comments. So Erica says the club is 100% going in the right direction. The value of our squad now is unreal. If you wanted to sell, Vieira does not need sacking, but these players are decent. Like, who do we blame? So out of the starting 11 today, this is what I've said this so many times. We overrate some of our players. Out of the starting 11 today, what? Vicente, fine. Chris Richards, Gehi, fine. Decore, fine. Then you can easily start putting question marks. Is Edward good enough? Is Schlupp good enough left mid? Is I good enough right wing? Like, our squad is decent, but our squad ain't that great. Like, you can even make that argument. Is our starting 11 that decent enough to compete with Man United away from home? Like any other manager, we could 100% struggle, and we've seen it with the likes. We've seen it with other managers in the past. Like, you can easily struggle with the squad that we got.
But then based on that, right?
That great, man.
But then based on that, right? There's two ways of looking at it, right? It could be A, we are punching above our weight because of the quality that we've got.
I think,
you know, let's be honest. If you're putting it on paper,
I genuinely feel like we.
But then at the same time, why are people trying to dig up Vieira? So that's one point of looking at it. But then another way of looking at it is if you look at the actual first team players that Vieira's bring in, first team players, forget the young up and coming players because we know they're for the future. If we're looking at actual first team players that Vieira's brought in, how many of them have actually flopped and ain't done bits? Maybe Edward, The rest of them, actual Vieira signings under his management regime at Palace, Doucouré, Anderson, Gay, Richards. Who am I forgetting there? Obviously, Amada and Lokonga won't count yet. And then Edouard, out of barring, and even Edouard, there's still that one. Still, we're still out to kind of see what he's going to do. They've all done really well, and they've all stepped up. Think about it, like so, bro. If you give the man the ingredients to cook, he'll cook. If you ask a man to go cook your gourmet meal and you don't give man the ingredients, what's going to happen? You got plain chicken and rice, boy. Come on, use your brain, people. What's Friedman
so he's at the place he wanted. He got Edouard and Mateta. They're both no good for us. So what now? So we can mention Edouard and Mateta, but if we want to talk about that, then what about Mark Gahey? What about, you can make the argument, what about Elise? What about Doucouré? What about Chris Richards? Like, what? So the bad signings are Vieira's fault, and the good signings is not Vieira included. I mean, is Mateta even a Vieira signing in the first place? You can make the argument we brought in Mateta before Vieira, and maybe that was more of a club decision to bring him on a permanent deal because we need the strikers. So, like, we can't pick it both ways. We can't say the bad sign is Vieira and then the good sign is someone else. I mean,
I think that there's it's a weird one, to be fair. I think Looney's half around the Edouard. I think I'll give him that. I can't. Edouard is in that bracket, and he's had his moments where he's kind of stepped up. But I just feel like, and this is where people need to kind of put in a bit of perspective. Edouard was benched for a while because he weren't doing what Vieira needed him to do. Vieira identified that he needed another striker / attacker because he's made that diplomatically clear in press conferences, interviews and stuff like that. And all I've got out of the boardroom level is, we're trying. Okay, cool. But then there's a question to say, where does the link with Doogie and Texer and all them man there go? Like, what? Like, where's the blame going to these men? Like, you got to kind of think about where you want to channel your frustration, bro. Because any other manager in that position, whether it was Vieira or not, forget that. Let's just pretend it's anyone else. Who's cooking like that? Where would we be? Do you honestly think if we got Sean Dyche instead, we would be sixth? I disagree. And I don't even care if he's gone in Everton and done a bit today, bro, because we know Dyche ball is punch at man and chill. Gerrard would have flopped it. Lampard would have flopped it.
But yeah, exactly. So for those who actually don't want Vieira, I just want to see your suggestions. I want to see in terms of where what type of manager exactly. I think that's the best way to see it. Some suggestions will be good to see what type of manager we want, because you have to realize the squad that we got as well. Like Dyche, cool, he's done his thing today at Everton, and he might be a very good manager for Everton in the long term. But then the type of players that were brought in and the type of football that we're trying to play is different to what Dyche would ideally want to play. But you know, I don't know what we really expect from this season. I mean, cool, we brought in Dyche, we finished 9th, great. We still need more players. Like, we still need to improve. There's only so much you can do. Maybe Dyche can get a bit better out of these players, but then that's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen.
But then how much better? That's my question, because everyone's talking about better. If you spoke about this in August, right, and we looked at the table and said, all right, boom, this is where we're going to finish. I know I like to toy around with things and talk about, European push. And to be honest, cup run, I would want to have seen better, like, for sure. Because I think
that goes down to Vieira as well. I'm not saying Vieira is prone to mistakes. He's not.
But look at the league table, himself, where do you actually think we should be? Let's just look at it in that perspective. I'd love to know what kind of manager you lot would want to bring in, like a name specifically, and why. And then I think follow up to that is, where in the league do you actually think Crystal Palace should be, based on the size of the club, based on the signings we made, based on the budget? Because I'm open to suggestion, bro. I'm quite open to hearing what man's got to say. I'm not ignorant like that. If someone turns around and says, well, actually, if we bought this player or bought this manager in, we should be here in the table, and you can hit me with logic, then why would I not agree with that? My mind can be changed.
We're just quickly, we're gonna move on from this topic and go back to the game, because we've kind of gone off topic from the game. Gio said because he doesn't mix up enough even when we're on a losing streak. So for me, for example, maybe you can play Sam Johnston, but then he goes to the depth issue. in terms of mixing up. So Sam Johnson, fair enough for Vicente. Centre backs, fair enough. Left back can really mix up. Right backs, he can't. You can't. What? Joe Ward, fair enough. You guys want to see him mix up with Joe Ward as centre mid. I mean, Hughes, yeah, because I wanted it as well, and now we've seen it. But then Hughes in the long term is never going to be the answer. So there's that. Up front, can he what? Mateta, Edward? What's the difference that going to make on left mid? Not really. Right wing, Elise says it. I mean, there isn't that much squad depth options in the first place.
We're getting there slowly, man. But the slowness is creating frustration because we're in a society where everybody wants everything now. Bro, we're just not that.
We could have done better this season. Let's say that we could have done better.
For sure. I would have liked to see.
Yeah, we could have done better this season in terms of bringing in players and stuff. But yeah, like I mean, there's only so much we can do as well. Realistically, even if we did, well, I don't know. Even if we did bring in a right back, maybe striker, we still like. I don't think we can sort out all our problems in one window. Then again, we still should have done a bit better. And yeah, let's talk about Vicente. I think some people are frustrated today with Vicente's performances. I mean, for the first goal, penalty, second goal, I don't know what much he can do. But for me, I don't think he even had a bad game like that. I don't know. They didn't, as I said, they didn't really have that much to do. And when he's called upon, he did make some saves. But let's be honest. Realistically, are we going to see any change in goalkeeper to the end of the season? I'll say this. I wouldn't mind it. Because, as I said, Vicente's 36 years old, 36, and we need to see Johnson at some point play consistently to make a decision to see if he's good enough and if he does suit Vieira's system. And if it ain't now, when is it going to be? And let's say Johnson, God forbid, doesn't suit Vieira's system and isn't good enough, they were going to be stuck in a pickle. Vicente's going to be gone, and Johnson ain't going to be good enough. Then, it's going to make our life a bit harder. But for you, AJ, just quickly on Vicente, I don't think he had a bad game, but
I like Vicente Guaita a lot, and I think he's I've said this before. I think he's an excellent shot stopper. But that being said, Johnson is younger. Johnson's got the England experience. He's obviously got Premier League experience. Ironically, he's also got Championship experience. We know, obviously, before he left West Brom to come to us, it went a bit left. In terms, I never really even bothered looking into what happened there. Could he do much worse than Guaita? I don't know. I mean, what have we done? Played him in League Cup and FA Cup games, haven't we? And he's done all right. I mean, in terms of our actual starting 11, that's just not really my major concern right now. But that being said, if we are going to kind of get to this point of the season where it looks like we're not going anywhere higher and we're not going to realistically drop into relegation, why not try? Why not? There's not really you can't really go much more left if we're kind of stuck in that middle position anyway. I mean, obviously Premier League part of prize money is going to play a massive part in that. And we know Parish will be in Vieira's ear talking about that because obviously differentials are millions in it. I'd play him a couple games for sure, just to see what he's got. He's never looked really out of place in the odd little games we've seen him in the cups. And with some players, especially I guess with the goalkeeper element, he's going to have a sink or swim. But then at least that way, that will kind of make not even a manager's decision up, but that will allow people to kind of see, all right, you know what, Johnson ain't that guy. We may need to look elsewhere. Or you know what, Vicente's so much superior, or vice versa. Johnson's been more demanded in the box. Johnson's a bit better on his feet. Johnson's a better shot stopper. It's not really a concern on the pitch I have. So whoever's going in goal, or whether it was Butland in the summer, obviously whatever happens with him, God knows, then I'm all for it. I do know, obviously, over the past summer that went, there was obviously a lot of head scratching and headaches about what was going to happen, and it looked like it was potentially going to happen earlier. But if I'm not mistaken, didn't Johnson have like a hand injury or something like that? So people have to take that into consideration. So. If your goalkeeper's, I wouldn't even say on form, because obviously, Vicente's not keeping clean sheet after clean sheet. But if he's doing a solid enough job, most Premier League managers won't realistically change their goalkeeper unless they're going through a complete nightmare. I think a lot of people called for it after the Southampton game. Maybe that was the time to kind of trigger it and just say to him, look, Vicente, you got to sit out a couple of games, bro, and, build your confidence back up or build your momentum back up. But Vieira's stuck with him. Couple games, he's obviously had some good shot stopping, and obviously it's paid off for him. But at some point, he's going to have to kind of bite the bullet and make that decision, because Vicente's age is the only thing that concerns me about him. Like, you know, he's not going to pick up any new tricks at his age, and at the end of the day, he is getting older, to be fair. And, you know, no player, bar one or two, have a guaranteed starting place in at 11. So I could live with it. Why not give him a couple games, see what he can do, see if he can pick up a couple clean sheets or just command that box a bit better? Then I'm all for it, man. He's got the experience, he's got the CV to go with it. So I'd happily see what he can do. Yeah. But, however, if he does flop, I just need my apologies to my goalkeeper and keep it moving. You get me? Because I love Vicente.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah. Look, the goalkeeper will be an interesting point, anyways, in the coming windows, because we're gonna have to definitely strengthen when Vicente leaves. But for you, AJ, let's talk about new signs a bit. I like Lukonga when he came on. I liked he's trying to play progressive passes. Of course, it was 1-0 down, so it's a bit harder to judge. It would have been good to see him in 11v11. But he looked positive. He looked positive with his movements, considering that they barely had any training sessions together. He just joined the club. I liked it. And I liked his composure on the ball as well. But he looked positive. Hamada, you can see potentially he's not quite ready yet. There was times where he wasn't as involved as much. I don't know if you agree with me, but I don't think he was as involved as much as Lukonga when he did come on. And when he was on the ball, there's not me getting onto him saying he's not going to be a good player for us. I'm just saying you can see that he's just come to the country new. He's getting used to the style of playing in the Premier League, and he's getting used to the chemistry. There was chances with maybe, I think it was Elise, Hamada, they're trying to do 1-2s, even that was off it. That might take a bit of time, but based on today and the short span of time that they did play, it seemed like Lukonga could get the call up over Hamada as it stands. And I won't be that surprised if that happens, because he might need some gelling in period.
I would have I'd actually start Lukonga against Brighton, actually. And funny enough, I'd actually start him instead of Hughes. I'd take the risk, give him a go, see what he can do. Because the guy's got Premier League experience. He's played in the Premier League this season. Like, he's not a clown. Like, he knows what it's about. Amada, I'd say kind of stick with the bench position for now.
Coming off
slowly integrate him into the team.
That'll be.
I didn't really see enough of him today when he came on. To be fair, you know, Lukonga looked good with the passing, but that's what he does. Apparently, he keeps it simple. He keeps it simple with his passes. He just kind of does the build-up play essentially from the back. I know defensively he's not the worst either. So maybe against a team like Brighton, which will come on and attack you pretty rapidly, that might be a good game to try him out, see what he can do, man. I mean, can it get much worse? Probably not. I'd love to see a little bit more Lukonga. And actually, I'll push him for a start against Brighton. I don't know what the manager's thinking, and we know what Vieira can be like in terms of favoritisms towards certain players. And obviously, if they're doing his system in training, then obviously we'll see more of him. But yeah, I'd integrate Amada in, to be fair. I don't anticipate him doing even much going into the rest of the season, to be fair. I think eventually he'll get games, he'll get more substitutions, he'll build up his confidence, he'll get a few more training sessions in. But if Eze is still in a bit of an indifferent form, he might get a little bit more of a push. But for me, Lukonga's nearer to getting a starting berth than Amada. I want to see a little bit more of him come off the bench first and let him earn his place. Why not?
Yeah.
Or if they're just there to give players something to worry about and push them on because they now got to look over their shoulder, I'm all for it.
Look, if you're enjoying the show, make sure to smash the like button. It helps us out a lot and takes a second of your time. We're very close to 3,000 subscribers as well. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content, because trust me, there's going to be a lot of build up to the Brighton game and more as well. But we're not going to be here for much longer. We can quickly talk about Schlupp as well. There's going to be player ratings to record after this, so we talk about individuals a bit more. Look, Schlupp, you know, funny enough, this is probably Schlupp's best position. He's not a holding midfielder. he can probably play out wide, use his pace, run at defenders. When he's running at defenders, that's when he's at his best. And today, as the game opened up a bit more, it helped. But when his team's that's just sitting back and there's nowhere to run into, that's when he can look a bit lost. But today, it was positive, especially in the second half. He tried to get on the ball a bit more, run at players. What do you think about him playing out wide? And do you think going forward that could be a position maybe to back up Wilf down the left hand side?
Yeah, it gives you less to worry about, to be fair. Because essentially when he's in the middle of the park, he is more prone to losing the ball, doing something clumsy. Whereas on an attacking wing side of things, he's more prone to, he can still do that. But at the end of the day, if he does lose the ball, he's got a little bit more space where he can actually kind of recover a lot better. Yeah, he was actually all right today, to be fair. Fair play to him. He did all right. He did his job as well. Actually quite surprised he got subbed off. He even got a goal. I mean, whether you think the goal was on purpose or not, that's a different conversation, because he kind of sort of flicked it off his ankle, but he was aiming goalwards. He got the goal. He actually had an all right game today, man. He tried. He worked hard. That's the thing. He's solid in terms of presence. Attacking wise, he's technically all right, but yeah, anywhere but that centre midfield. I think unless he's going to come on as an impact sub, there's no point entertaining putting him in that centre midfield position. To be fair, he's definitely always better as a substitute for me.
Yeah, same. I think
he was all right today, man. He done all right, man. Going forward, at least for the next few weeks, if he insists on having him in the squad, that's the only place I feel comfortable him sitting, like without giving me something to worry about, giving me a heart bloody palpitation, to be fair. But he done all right today, man. Fair play to him. I know he's obviously always the butt of everyone's criticism and jokes week in, week out, but you know what? He did all right today. He did all right. He did his job.
Yeah, he did. Well, look, let's wrap up the show now. If you have enjoyed it, thank you very much for tuning into the show. But yeah, there isn't really much I would talk about then. You know, it was a defeat. It hurt. I think we started, as I said at the start of the show, started the game a bit slow, especially with the goal that we conceded. But look, massive game coming up now. We have to brush this aside. Got Brighton, and Brighton without Wilf as well, and they won today. They're red on form, and they're going to be coming to our ground, so they're going to be up for this game. So we're going to have massive build up to the game. As always, if you have enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We'll be back for the player ratings in about an hour or so make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that. But that's it from me and AJ. Thanks to everyone who's watched. Thanks to everyone who's also been watching on replay as well. And until next time, up the Palace.
Let's go, baby.